What is overpopulation? As the term itself suggests, an exceeding amount of population. Overpopulation occurs when environmental resources, for the most part, fail to sustain the needs of relatively individual organisms in terms of shelter, nourishment, and other factors, which are typically quite considerable. Now, do not get us wrong. We do not put the blame on the sustainability of resources themselves. Rather, those who take from it, those who claim to be on top of the food chain themselves, the predators among all predators, us,
humans.
Apparently, the number one factor in the great increase of our numbers can be due to the lack of sexual education across the globe. The lack of sexual education is a concerning factor because this upholds people's values and perspective on the importance and responsibility of procreation. Another key reason that population is still growing is because many of us are living longer.
Overpopulation is an issue when deaths cannot surpass the continuous flow of birth. A 2018 estimate records that there are about 256 births that occur a minute, while that occurs 120 per minute. As you can see, life overlaps death in numbers. The extreme rapid speed of our population is quite unnerving. How fast, you ask? Well, by 1804 we reached 1 billion. By 1927, we reached 3 billion, 4 billion by 1974, 5 billion by 1987, 6 billion by 1999, 7 billion by 2011. As of now, we have 7.753 billion people all over the world and is expected to reach 8 billion by 2023.
Effects of overpopulation are as follows: high increased demand in regards of food, water, housing, energy, healthcare, transportation, and other valuable necessities, environmental degradation, increasing conflicts, increased chance of high-scale calamities. Example of this is pandemic, decrease of natural resources, reduced biodiversity, increased pollution and emissions, rapid increase of poverty, and of course, climate change.
The world itself is already facing different crises and scarcity. Approximately 1.3 billion tons of food gets lost or wasted. This is only one of the examples that shows human irresponsibility in resource management. Imagine other problems such as improper garbage disposal, air pollution emitted from careless factories, non-stop deforestation and excavation, and many other more. More people doesn't mean more workforce. It simply means lack of job opportunities.
What can we do to alleviate our rapid speed of growth in our population? Our House concluded two simple necessary moves: implementation of sexual education and higher funding for environmental movements.
With sexual education, we can even highlight the importance of using birth control methods such as condoms and birth control pills. And we can also further widen our horizon and make sexual intercourse much more of an open topic rather than a taboo to publicly and academically discuss. We can also not limit sex education within the grounds where individuals have access to education. We can even reach to places where poverty and poor education and awareness rate is at a high rate. Sexual education is a one-step solution that has a domino effect in other relating issues of improper sexual knowledge. For instance, Basic knowledge of sex education means seeing sexual intercourse as an important part of procreation. Seeing procreation as a huge responsibility can lead to good decision making in terms sex life. Good decision making lessens the risk of accidental impregnation. And in the near future, we can even excel to a point where family planning can be talked about much more truthfully. The awareness that sexual education brings is immensely impactful. This can be proven in David Attenborough's film Life on Our Planet. He claims the following: Japan's standard of living climbed rapidly in the latter half of the 20th century. As healthcare and education improved, people's expectations and opportunities grew, and the birth rate fell. In 1950, a Japanese family was likely to have 3 or more children. By 1975, the average was 2. The result is that the population has now stabilized and has hardly changed since the millennium.
Environmental movements exist, and they continue to make their move even if they're a handful fun for them to keep going. It's as if personal fashion is the only things that keep these heroes going, instead of investing in infrastructures that can potentially topple down over other existing natural resources. Higher companies must invest in funding for environmental groups. What is the use of necessary infrastructures if one day there will be no more world for us to save? Once again, these environmental movement groups can cause another domino effect that can result in solving many other underlying problems. For instance, these groups can advocate the use of reusable day-to-day items instead of typical disposable plastic types. They can even advocate the usage of refill stations, wherein they would bring their own containers for their products. Dishwashing liquid, detergent, seasoning powder, and etc. to help reduce the typical single-use plastic containers of these products. With greater funds, the greater is the force and the equipment. Then, the louder the voices of these environmental groups are heard. Reducing the garbage we accumulate the crucial in reducing our impact in overgrowing population.
Enough with drawings of hands covering the earth in order to raise awareness. We must make a stand, speak up, and make a move. Remember, prevention is always better than cure.